On the play is going to be Nate Barton's Grixis Delver list. A deck that's been very well represented in Legacy, but only 2 copies here in day 2 in the tournament. A lot of that's because Delver decks have moved a different direction as of late, moving toward cards like Leovold, but actually no Leovolds in the entire top 8.
And just a difference in philosophy with the Grixis Delver list versus these 4 color control decks is just much lower to the ground.
So a Gitaxian Probe from Nate Barton. We see a Daze, a Lotus Petal, 2 lands, Reanimate, Exhume, and Gristlebrand. So actually not, the combo's missing a piece here. He's got 2 ways to get a creature out of the graveyard. He's got a Daze and some mana. He's got the creature, but he doesn't have a way to put it in the yard yet.
Well, he does. He has a draw step for his turn and a cleanup step.
Oh, wow.
And then on his following turn, he'll be able to bring it back, and he'll be able to cast the Lotus Petals. Doesn't really feel like he missed a land drop. Now, if Barton has a Cabal Therapy, he can throw some serious wrenches into this system.
See if he can do just that. Yeah, a discard spell would have taken that apart, but it's going to be just Underground Sea and go for Barton. Morawski's going to draw. May have picked up another Lotus Petal. If that's true, you're right, I missed the secret discard outlet.
Being
which
on
is
the
hand
draw.
size.
Being
Yeah,
on the draw is not so bad.
Jonathan moves to clean up, puts Emrakul in the yard. This is, I like Legacy.
He has Reanimate and Exhume. Barton knows most of the stuff in Morawski's hand, but Morawski did pick up a second Lotus Petal for his draw step.
So next turn he can go land, petal, petal, have Reanimate, Exhume, and Daze backup. See, so Reanimator, one of the things I like about it as a combo deck is its good draws are so good. Like, this is 3 levels of interaction to make Gristlebrand on turn 2. That's hard for any control deck to fight with.
Yeah. We'll see exactly what Barton has available in the way of interaction. This is the kind of setup where it looks like he's going to want at least a Force of Will.
To start, yeah. Daze is actually pretty good here as well.
He does have 1 main deck Spell Pierce as well.
Casts Ponder, plays a land. Looks like multiple Dazes. I believe 3 in Barton's hand.
That's a lot of Dazes.
Well, that's great. I mean, I said Jonathan had 3 levels of interaction, but Nate I guess he can't cast the 3rd Daze, so it's only 2 levels of interaction.
Also a little bit awkward for Barton. His threat appears to be a True Name Nemesis, and if you're dazing a bunch, that's not coming online terribly quickly.
Yeah, I guess if he trades his land drops to win this counter war, Jonathan will be out of resources, so there's that. See if Jonathan wants to go this turn. Imagine he will. Underground Sea, Lotus Petal. Let's go for another Lotus Petal. Let Barton know. Sure, 2nd Lotus Petal. And we'll try to reanimate. Now the fight begins.
Double Lotus Petal beats double Daze. Daze backup's pretty nice too, though Barton will have access to 1 mana.
Yeah, so actually if he dazes, floats a mana, dazes, Nate wins the counter war.
Jonathan wins the counter war.
Well, does it?
But he just pays for both Dazes. He doesn't have 2 mana. He
can't use the 3rd Daze. You're right, yeah. Jonathan still has it. He just paid for both the Dazes in Nate's hand.
And Nate would need a spell on top of this, and I don't believe that he has that.
Lotus Petal's a great card. Just great.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable. It's a fixed Black Lotus.
Nate just says, yeah, you got Gristlebrand. Morawski to 13. On the surface, it looks like Jonathan just had it and Nate had no interaction, but that is far from the truth. Jonathan just had exactly the right defense here. With Gristlebrand in play, it's going to be a tough one for the Delver deck. Does he have ways to get it back out of play?
So one time in my entire life, I have combined Dismember with Lightning Bolt to kill a Gristlebrand. The odds of this happening are so extremely low.
He's got 1 Dismember.
I'll tell you where Dismember is in the sideboard games. It's not in your main deck anymore.
You know what does? It totally work. John, he just won't have a counter spell.
And he won't draw any in the top 7 cards of his deck.
Go to Nate's 3rd turn. Gristlebrand in play. Nate can try for True Name Nemesis, but I think we're looking at a Reanimator win here. Gristlebrand in play. Most of this fight happens before the demon hits the table.
Yeah, Nemesis does not raise Gristlebrand, and Morawski can even daze it if he so desires.
Absolutely. Could. Might not.
The daze isn't doing much else, so it's kind of a Mize situation.
True name Nemesis from Barton. If Morawski dazes, is certainly going to get dazed back. Might be fine.
And he only can pay for 2. Barton has 3.
He can win this. This is the counter war that Barton can win. He'll daze. Yeah. First chucks it in the yard. Yeah, whatever.
Triple daze is not a very inviting turn.
Morawski is going to steal 7 life points. Barton down to 9. Morawski up to 19. Morawski has taken control.
And Morawski is just going to draw 7 because that's what you do when you control a Gristlebrand.
It's fixed. It's not bargain because you can only pay life to draw cards in multiples of 7.
And it's so fixed that when you control Gristlebrand, for some reason, you're allowed to have a draw step.
It's true.
That is actually
you also get a
the
creature.
thing.
You also get a creature.
That's the thing that peeves me about this card. Why are you allowed to have a draw step when you control a Gristlebrand?
Yeah, it doesn't really make a difference, does it?
It's not about making a difference. It's about justice and consistency.
I don't like drawbacks on my cards, Ryan. I want them to do everything, and I don't want to pay for it. You're right. When you consort with demons, there ought to be a punishment.
Exactly. Thoughtseize
how
from
demons
Morawski
work.
because the cards in Barton's hand clearly matter.
Barton will daze the Thoughtseize.
And Morawski could pay for it or not. He has a lot of options.
Sure, he'll pay for one. How many lands does Barton want to pick up? If he picks them all up, he can keep the Thoughtseize. He won't get Thoughtseized. Second days leaves the Volcanic in play. He still has that bolt in hand, so it looks like he's playing to the out of bolt, dismember, and hope that Morawski just didn't hit anything. It's a slim one.
Barton eyeing this 3rd daze, and yeah, he's going to go for it, so that's going to counter the Thoughtseize.
Barton now has no permanence.
And
but he did not get Thoughtseize. I think he wanted to keep the bolt.
I don't think that anything has happened that Morawski really cares about. And with the 3 lands back in his hand, he won't be able to cast Lightning Bolt and Dismember on the following turn. And once he takes the 7 on the chin from this Gristlebrand, he won't be able to cast Dismember whatsoever.
Yeah, there's not really a way out on this one. No flyers, no...
Yeah, Barton's just kind of milking it. And there we go. He's going to concede.
So that fight early on, Morawski using the discard step to put Gristlebrand in the yard. He takes the first game on the draw against Delver. When Delver's on the play and has a multi-daze hand, that feels like a steal.
Well, Morawski really took advantage of an element of his deck, the fact that Reanimator can just go to naturally discard.
Yeah.
He didn't need a spell to set up, and then he had 2 payoffs once he was set up.
Right. It's almost like by being on the draw, he was a turn faster.
Right.
Which is pretty great. We're going to look at some of the sideboards here. Now, you mentioned with Grixis Delver, it's a good matchup already. He's down a game, so Barton's going to have to win the post-board games. Fortunately, he has a lot of cards that interact.
Coming off the sideboard, there's 2 copies of Surgical Extraction. He has a Pyroblast. Now, the side deck lists are face up, so he knows that Show and Tells are coming in. So Pyroblast is good for that and for Brainstorm. More Cabal Therapy is generally going to be good against any combo deck. Flusterstorm to fight these counter wars. This stuff is all pretty powerful.
Yeah, these are great levels of interaction. He's got, 2 counter spells, 2 graveyard hate cards, an extra discard spell. All of that's going to play here. One thing I do want to ask, is Pithing Needle for Gristlebrand, yes or no?
No, never. Ugh. This deck just plays fair, honest
if it's a
creatures
7/7
on the ground.
I can't win either.
Yeah, this card with no additional text is very difficult for the deck to beat in the first place.
All right, over to Morawski's sideboard. You mentioned there were 3 Show and Tells in this sideboard. Those come in just about any matchup where you expect Graveyard Hate. Outside of that, he's got Abrupt Decay, Pithing Needle, Fatal Push, some alternate monsters, Duress, and then a couple discard effects, Duress and Collective Brutality. Any of those good against Grixis.
So some Abrupt Decay to slow the Delver deck down makes sense, and certainly you want to destroy Deathrite Shaman. So there's a reason to have Fatal Push there as well. And I actually like Collective Brutality a lot because it's just a cost to discard a card. You don't have to resolve the spell. You can destroy a problematic Delver and Cyclical Aberration. You can destroy a Deathrite Shaman, set up your graveyard, and even get a look at your opponent's hand, take a counter spell out. The Brutality seems very excellent. The Duress is reasonable as well.
All right, well, there's going to be a second game. It's going to be Barton on the play again. This weekend has been about two things. We've been talking about Legacy, and we've been talking about Amonkhet. Amonkhet, the next set that comes out. And if you're going to want to get a hands on the cards, the first chance to play Limited with it in a high-level setting is just a month away. It's Grand Prix Richmond, hosted by Star City Games.
On May 5th through the 7th, make plans to be part of Magic the Gathering history when StarCityGames.com proudly presents Grand Prix Richmond. Register by Sunday, April 23rd for the Amonkhet Limited Format main event to compete for thousands of dollars in prizes and receive an exclusive playmat featuring Glory-Bound Initiate. Select the 3-day Infinite Challenge package to compete in all challenge events for one low price, while also walking away with the exclusive Glory-Bound Initiate playmat. All Friday challenges are also Grand Prix trials. Come out early and compete for buys in the main event and more chances to claim a Glory-Bound Initiate playmat. Prefer 100-card formats? Register for the Ultimate Commander package to play in 4 Commander on-demand events and take home a Commander vs. playmat and Ultimate Guard Boulder deck case. Want to play on Magic's grandest stage? Compete in the Pro Tour qualifier on Sunday and receive a Progenitus foil promo just for playing, plus the chance for an invitation to Pro Tour Hour of Devastation in Kyoto, Japan. And don't forget to come say hello to Grand Prix Richmond's many special guests, including cosplayer Vanessa Martin and an artist alley full of fan favorites, headlined by guest of honor John Avon. Be part of Magic the Gathering history. Register for Grand Prix Richmond today.
So it's Grand Prix Richmond coming up 1 month from now. A chance to open Amonkhet also with the invocations. A lot of legacy staples appearing there. You know, personally, I've never opened a masterpiece or an expedition or any of those. Maybe we'll get a hieroglyph card.
I have not either. I do like that there are more commons that are masterpieces. Chain Lightning,
sure.
Counterspell. The Ornithopter to this point is my favorite masterpiece. And it's not close either. I would like to see a masterpiece Dothy Horror.
Card's hard to get.
There's no foil. That's the 2-mana 2/1, right? Because there's a foil of the 2/2 that has to attack. It's an F&M promo.
You're just the Shadow guy?
It's just there's no foil that exists for this card.
That's not going to happen. That's just for Grixis Cube.
It should have been an Eternal Masters. It's for Pauper Cube.
Nate Barton on the play. Gitaxian Probe. Once again, he'll get a look at Morawski's hand. We have just one land. With it, we have Exhume, Show and Tell, Gristlebrand, Entomb. Looks like a copy is that we have Fatal Push?
Yep.
And Ponder. So a one-land Ponder hand. That's the kind of thing that Delver can really take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1 daze could cripple Jonathan's hand.
Barton also playing the full set of Wastelands.
Love it. And yeah, it was a Verdant Catacombs. So Jonathan's not able to cast Ponder by just getting a basic land here.
Mm-hmm.
Has to go for a duel. Looks like Flusterstorm in Barton's hand. So, and Daze. So plenty of ways to stop that Ponder from resolving.
If he even wants to fight over it.
Well, with a hand like this, wouldn't you want to, or is that not where the fight occurs?
I think the Morawski has some spells that really matter.
Deathrite Shaman for Barton.
I suppose it depends how quickly Barton can win, and just how much stuff he has to fight battles with. If you don't have a Wasteland, fighting over the Ponder starts to make more sense.
Morawski's draw for the turn a copy of Elishnor, and that's not gonna do anything.
And with the hand that Morawski's drawn up this time, the natural discard line is significantly less powerful. Realistically, you'd like to just kind of hit 3 land drops, go for Entomb and Reanimate spell, and to Show and Tell, just start checking Barton on having a bunch of counter spells.
So here's Ponder from Morawski. Barton does have access to Daze. We'll see if he pulls the trigger. Looks like Daze, Force of Will, Flusterstorm, and lands for Barton. And he's going to let Ponder resolve. Deciding that the fight should be over, I guess, not the cantrips here. Don't try. A lot of times there's that bait if you want to get someone's lands. He's going to just go for the combo cards. And it looks like rewarded. Morawski did not like the cards he saw. He opted to shuffle.
Honestly, if you daze the Ponder that gets shuffled away,
that was bad. Yeah.
Well, if this spell, yeah, this is actually bad for Barton because Morawski no longer has to draw those 3 cards that he clearly did not want.
Sure. Draws Entomb anyway, so no land for Morawski yet. They'll just say go. And there's some security here right now. Barton with Force of Will, Flusterstorm, Daze, Deathrite Shaman. He's setting up to cover all his bases in dealing with this Reanimator deck.
And you're kind of seeing the reason why Barton didn't fight over the Ponder. He's a little heavy on lands. He has another duel and a fetch in his hand.
Well, looks like Morawski did hit a land that turn. So not a 1-land hand. Was a tropical island. Just says go. The natural draw.
Building up towards casting that show and tell.
Yeah. Barton can start to fight here over the cards in Morawski's graveyard. Or deal damage with them, rather. He's going to go ahead and take care of Ponder. Will deal 2 damage. And Fatal Push from Morawski on Deathrite Shaman. It is also Daze proof thanks to that land Morawski top decked.
It looks like this one's going to get a Flusterstorm.
Yeah, so Barton knew about this Fatal Push as well. And because he has Daze to cover land, I guess, no, this is on Jonathan's end step, so this is pretty safe. This is, I still feel like a win for Morawski getting a Flusterstorm to trade with Fatal Push as opposed to trading with one of those combo pieces. That's, Morawski would accept that.
Right.
Yeah, Flusterstorm on push. Storm is 3 here from that Ponder's. Actually, no, Ponder was last turn. No, Storm's just 2, but it's enough either way. And Barton untaps for a 3rd turn. Hand is Daze and Force of Will. Draws Ponder. It's going to be great here. He's got another fetch land in hand as well. Ponder here off Underground Sea that takes down the black mana for Deathrite. He sees Lightning Bolt, Young Pyromancer, and Brainstorm.
That Brainstorm is a heck of a find here.
Yeah.
Can clean up his hand. Unfortunately, he's not super into this set of 3 cards. Getting Young Pyromancer will allow him to have a clock, though the Lightning Bolt is not a spell that he's really into casting.
Yeah, well, he does have a fetch land, right? So he can draw 1 this turn, play the fetch land, draw another, and then shuffle before he ever has to see the 3rd.
The card he really wants is Brainstorm, though. If he uses his fetch land, that makes his Brainstorm worse.
Yeah, we'll find another. It'll be okay. Or you can always pitch Brainstorm to Force of Will. He doesn't have a blue card to pair with his Force yet.
And that is kind of the awkward thing. He wants to have this Brainstorm, fetch after it, and have a blue card at the end of that.
So he draws Brainstorm. One question I'm wondering here, you see he plays Flooded Strand. The top card of his deck is a Young Pyromancer. How much pressure does he want? Does he want to add Pyromancer, or is this... Does he need another threat, or is this fine? Is the Deathrite actually good enough?
The Shaman is pretty unlikely to do it alone.
Okay, so if that's true, then Pyromancer's probably your best clock.
Yeah,
or it's a fine clock, maybe not the best.
Given that he has free counter spells, the Pyromancer's fine. He has enough mana, especially given the Shaman, that he can pay for dazes from Morawski. So the Pyromancer's actually probably better than Delver in this window for that reason. Sometimes it chokes you on mana too much, and that can be a liability.
John draws a card, says go. No 3rd land to try for show and tell. No, he does have Entomb, which both players know about. That's assumed will happen. Well, could happen on Nate's end step. There's that problem of Deathrite Shaman being in play.
Right.
See if Morawski wants to do it anyway. You see Nate clearly leaving up green mana in case Jonathan entombs. And here's Entomb. Yeah, fine by Barton. You put a creature in the graveyard. Let's see what happens to it.
It likely won't be staying there for long. Both players have a vested interest in getting that creature out of the graveyard.
No, Nate's top card, a lightning bolt. He could use his fetch land to not draw it, but he also has a brainstorm in hand, so maybe he just draws it and then brainstorms and shuffles it away. That's cleaner, I suppose.
Yeah. Once he draws that brainstorm, the top 3 are a mystery.
We are getting to the point with lands where hard casting Force of Will is a reasonable thing for Barton. He does have 5 mana sources on the untap.
That is better against the non-Daze combo decks.
Sure, like Black-Red Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are no Dazes in Jonathan's hand that Barton knows of. He checked it 2 turns ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Entomb for Gristlebrand goes Morawski. We know of Jonathan's hand. We have Exhume, Show and Tell, Gristlebrand. Those 3 are still known to Barton.
Ooh, this is a nice
Pithing
pickup.
Needle. See if Barton wants to respond. This is almost certain to name Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. Minimally, you can expect Barton to exile that Gristlebrand. This spell, it's enticing to counter this spell.
Daze, Brainstorm, Force of Will, the 3-card hand for Barton.
The problem is if he forces, he loses his Brainstorm or his Daze, I suppose.
These players in game 2. Over on our other semifinal match, Ely Cassis and Nate Red, 1 game apiece heading to game 3. That's Miracles versus Mono Red Sneak Attack.
So the only green source in Barton's deck, as far as lands are concerned, is actually that Tropical Island. So we can't Brainstorm, fetch, and then use the Deathrite Shaman to exile a creature.
Oh, he can't. There's no green.
Right.
He will take care of the Gristlebrand. Deathrite Shaman eats that out of the yard. Now, does Needle hit, or does Nate have more? Looks like he'll crack a fetch land. Brainstorm's still in his hand, so that's going to weaken that Brainstorm. Though his top card of Lightning Bolt, not really sad to see that one go.
Yeah, he didn't want to draw that one. With the fetch happening here, it looks like he's thinking about brainstorming in response.
Once the Needle's down, does Barton have any ways to knock it off the table?
It's not looking like it.
All right, so we'll just turn off the Deathrites.
Technically, there's a Ancient Grudge in his sideboard. I don't expect that to be in here.
Pithing Needle does resolve. It names Deathrite Shaman. So Nate now left with a 1/2.
Ah, so the crack of the Flooded Strand was just don't Pithing Needle my fetch land.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty fair. I don't think Jonathan was going to do it. But
Right.
If you were going, Nate was planning to do this anyway, might as well. And upkeep, Morawski's going to go for another Entomb.
This is walking into days, though Morawski can potentially just cast Show and Tell on the following turn.
Right, Barton has to decide. And remember, because of that Deathrite Shaman, the Pithing Needle, Deathrite Shaman's ability to make mana targets in the graveyard. So it actually means the Pithing Needle turns off all 3 abilities. So the idea that Nate could hard cast, say, this Force of Will, that's going to be off the table now that he picked up a land. And some smart timing by Morawski by doing this in Nate's upkeep. Now that elemental token that Pyromancer made, that's not going to be able to attack.
So not being able to pay 5 for Force Will, that's one thing. But Barton picked up Surgical Extraction as his draw.
Well, that seems fine. You see Barton cannot swing the elemental, but he will swing for 3 to put Morawski to 14. Well, Morawski's on Show and Tell, though.
Yeah, well, Barton already has Force Will blue card.
I mean, we just dazed.
He has Brainstorm still.
Yeah, I mean, Morawski doesn't have the 3rd land either. Well, check that. Here's Verdant Catacombs.
I suppose Morawski could string together
Just draw another Show and Tell.
back-to-back Show and Tells, yeah.
It's not that bad.
He also is capable of Force of Willing the Surgical, potentially.
This Surgical is showing up at a real awkward time. Nate Deathrighted away 1 of the Gristlebrands, and then he used Daze on the Entomb. Ideally, he would have hit the Gristlebrand in the yard with Surgical and taken the one out of Jonathan's hand. We're past that point. Show and tell from Morawski. Nate has Force of Will plus blue card. His blue card is Brainstorm. If he wants to get real greedy here, he can cast the Brainstorm for an elemental token. We'll see if he does it or whether he's going to play it safe and just pitch the Brainstorm.
Missing on blue card would be really unfortunate.
You should lose, right? I don't know if I want to bet the farm on that one, and he doesn't either. We'll just get rid of Brainstorm.
Yeah.
It's countered. See if he gets the elemental. He has to remember that one. He does. Here we go. Morawski says go. Morawski's hand with both Exhume and Gristlebrand left in it. Those are the only cards we know about. Nate will untap with 5 power of creatures. Draw here looks like Wasteland from Barton. And that's a fine pickup. If Morawski doesn't have the second show and tell, he can't both top deck show and tell and a land.
Right.
5 power on the table currently is a 3-turn clock.
Morawski's life total is also under significant pressure now. It's really hard to cast the actual spell Reanimate, and when that's off the table, the stuff that reanimates stuff all costs 2 mana.
Yeah, he's got an Exhume in his hand, so that one doesn't use that. You see,
it's just way harder to cast Entomb Exhume than it is to cast Entomb Reanimator. Or Reanimate.
Right. Wasteland will take care of one of Jonathan's 2 Underground Seas. Nate swings in for 5, dropping the Reanimator player to 8. Vermeer 17 and 8. Nate's last 2 cards, not too much help. He's got Surgical Extraction as 1.
And that tropical island that he picked up to the days.
Sure. Land is the other. So Surgical has Entomb Exhume covered. The scary one is another show and tell. He doesn't have any play against that right now. Morawski draws. Looks like Tidespout Tyrant. He'll just pass. This should, with no land or show and tell there, this should do it for Barton. Jonathan gets 1 more draw. It may not matter. Barton's going to ponder to try to close it off.
If he finds Lightning Bolt, Morawski doesn't even get that draw.
Right. But this attack puts him to 3.
Well,
and there it is.
All right.
Medium interest in that. I guess he's got Gataxian Probe into Lightning Bolt if he wants it.
Gataxian Probe into Brainstorm into Lightning Bolt.
Just has it all. So yeah, this way he can just do it with no questions asked. Goes to 15 to cast Gataxian Probe. Gets to look at Morawski's hand. Exhume, Iona, Tidespout Tyrant, Gristlebrand.
That hand does nothing.
No, so this is going to be lethal this turn. A swing for 5. Barton will draw Brainstorm off of Probe, Brainstorm into Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Bolt Morawski. It looks like he will be able to force a 3rd game. A lot of this, I think from watching this game, I get why as a Grixis player and a Delver player, you're fine with this matchup. It's the most dead card Barton has here is Lightning Bolt. And it's going to win him the game. It's just every card seems like it plays in one way or another.
Yeah, in these later stages, Lightning Bolt, it's still in your deck because it has this Time Walk effect. Morawski just doesn't get to draw another card.
Just when every card is interacting like this, his threat is Deathrite Shaman. That interacts too. His removal, Surgical Extraction, Daze, Force of Will, all of these play.
Barton's spending a lot of time on this Brainstorm for somebody who has Xaxes.
I think maybe just missed that it has Lightning Bolt. Swings for 5, puts Jonathan to 3. Wonder if we have a way to deal 3. He says go.
Oh, this is so rude.
Oh, you saw his hand. I guess, okay, Jonathan does not know that Barton kept in Lightning Bolt, so by disguising it, that there is some advantage.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's real. It's real. It's not a slow roll. I'll give him that.
I won't fight you, but I think you're wrong.
I'm going to give him the credit of, hey, I'm taking every edge, as opposed to the I like to slow roll.
I think
I'm fine.
I think Nate Barton loves a slow roll.
All right. I think one of my favorite ones I like it. Have you ever done the one if they're at 3 and they therapy you and you have a bolt and you just let it resolve? You're like, there's no way they're going to name Lightning Bolt here. I'm putting myself at risk, but like, who names Lightning Bolt right here, right?
Yeah.
I just let it resolve, and then they see the bolt in your hand, and they're just like, why? And you're like, I gotcha.
You have to know something about the person sitting across from you at the table to make that play. Perhaps they are snickering uncontrollably when they ask you to name a card.
No, you got to sell it. Okay, you have the bolt, you have them dead, and they have therapy. You just have to be like, sure.
I don't think I could sell that.
If they ever named it, you'd never live at town. You'd be like, well, I gave away a game because I got too fancy. But it was worth it.
How did they know I had Lightning Bolt?
So we're going to get ready for a game 3 here. Morawski will get to be on the play against Nate Barton. We mentioned that we have the Grand Prix of Amonkhet coming up in just a month. Now that's, of course, before we get to play with the cards Unlimited, we can play with them at the pre-release. It's the very first opportunity to play the Amonkhet pre-release. That's happening at stores all around the country. And at Star City Games, we have the Amonkhet playmat that we'll be giving away also.
Say hello to the newest member of the StarCityGames.com pre-release exclusive creature collection, Amonkhet. Illustrated by fan favorite Andrea Radak, this solemn sphinx has claimed an honored place in the afterlife of Magic's newest desert oasis. Want to get your hands on this playmat? Find a participating store near you and register today. For more information, visit go.starcitygames.com/pre-release to learn how to make your Amonkhet pre-release rise among the worthy.
So the deciding game 3 happening in both semifinals. Jonathan Morawski and Nate Barton here. Reanimator back on the play against Grixis Delver. Actually, his first time on the play. Nate Barton had the play in both the first 2 games.
In fact, game 1, Morawski got a little value off being on the draw, taking the turn 1 natural discard.
It's something we see out of the Manaless Dredge.
It's not on the level. It's not on the level where you choose to take the draw.
We have our first finalist, and by some sort of miracle, it's going to be Ely Cassis. 2-1, he wins. Oh, come on. He wins the deciding game over Nate Red. Is that a boo at Miracles winning, or?
It's like a multi-level. That boo's a 2-for-1.
So with the 2-1 win, Ely Cassis awaits his opponent in the finals. He is looking for his first open win here for a player with as much been on the tour as much as he has and as much success as he has. It would be quite the weekend for him to take down.
And making it through Big Red, I think Ely probably feels fine with either of these matchups.
Reanimator and Grixis Delver. Certainly, I think, yeah, both these seem great. By the Mono and Sneak Attack was the matchup he needed to get past, and he was able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
John Morawski mulliganing to 6, Scries to the bottom. And we will start turn 1, Entomb from Morawski. This is a risky play. It plays into both Force of Will. I mean, Surgical Extraction could happen here immediately.
It's possible that Morawski just has some days backup.
Puts Gristlebrand into the yard, says go. Barton has at least 1 red blast in his hand. Gurmag Angler hanging out there. That's a little slow right now.
Yeah, that's a mulligan in the early game.
A little surprised that card's in. I guess he just needs he needs some clock.
The threat that he was pretty thrilled to board out is probably True Name Nemesis. That one's a bit on the slow side.
And
some number of the young Pyromancers.
Does have Surgical Extraction and casts that with Days backup. Ooh. That's going to get Gristlebrand. Morawski's hand, Force of Will, Fatal Push, Lotus Petal, Land. This is a disaster for Jonathan.
Yeah, he's going to have to find some good ones off the top. This hand is Force of Will without a blue card, some mana sources, and a Fatal Push that may or may not have a target. The land that Barton led on is not a land that casts Deathrite Shaman, which is the primary reason that you want the Fatal Push. So leftovers for reanimation spells, the other stuff that Morawski has. There's 1 Grave Titan that's in the main deck. Was presumably still in. Tidespout Tyrant and Elish Norn. There's a sideboard Iona. Some number of things to reanimate should be available.
He's going to have to just run all this off the top. And not after Surgical Extraction, it's Delver of Secrets. Barton's going to play that one right into the Fatal Push.
Yep. I mean, what else is he going to do, right? That push is just going to happen.
Also with 24 points. Brandon Dempsey, Corey Corbin, Nicholas Wallace.
Go back over to Morawski. Gonna try to make something happen. Here you see land, Lotus Petal. Gonna get all these out.
And Mike Goki. And in 8th place with 22 points.
Fatal push for the Delver. Down to just a reanimate. And a force. So he's gonna reanimate Nate's Delver. Oh yeah.
We got a chance.
It takes one. All right.
I can't think of a better reanimate target.
There's no way this works, but it's great. If this wins the game, this is going to be the most glorious win I have seen in a long time.
Well, Barton already has a Pyroblast in hand.
Oh, boo!
I agree.
All right, Nate will crack this blue.
That play was real nice, though. A lot of fight in Morawski.
It wasn't getting any better, you know? Yeah, I do believe there's a red blast in Nate's hand. Ponder here by Nate Barton. He's got a Wasteland in hand as well. 3, young Pyromancer in 2 lands. He may keep that one.
That's a real bad look.
I guess, yeah, he's just got these Gurmag Anglers in his hand. He really just wants more Ponders.
Yeah, any Ponder with 2 lands, frequently, you just ask for more. Don't settle. Why settle? Ponder is so great. Shuffling Ponder is frequently more powerful than rearranging your top 3.
Well, yeah, one of the things I like about Ponder, I know that we always, in Legacy, you kind of have to save your fetch lands for Brainstorm, but fetch lands with Ponder is great as well. The idea that you can look at 3, take 1, and then crack a fetch is, I mean, not as powerful as Brainstorming, but it's not bad, especially when Nate draws the Pyromancer anyway.
See, and maybe those top 2 cards aren't lands. It's all upside.
Says Ghost.
Theoretically.
Got a Pyroblast here. Delver Secrets shows Entomb, flips into a 3/2. Oh, John, gonna go ahead and read the back side of the card.
Yeah, what's this do? It flies.
Still on upkeep. Oh, it might be dead. If Nate Pyroblasts this, which he's gonna do, both cards go to Nate's graveyard. That's great for Gurmag Angler.
Yep.
Morawski draws Entomb. Now wait, no, he already used the reanimate on Delver Secrets.
Right.
So that's not going to work. Now, to be fair, there's not counter magic left in Barton's hand. He's got 2 Gurmag Anglers and a young Pyromancer and a Wasteland. Morawski does have a chance up from that Entomb, which he'll do while Barton's tapped out.
Yeah, we'll find out exactly what he has as a secondary card here.
Was he okay? How badly was he just punished for reanimating Delver of Secrets?
He had no way of knowing that Barton had that little interaction.
Sure. Ponder, the top card for Barton. Yeah, maybe Barton just is going to die off 6 hits from a Delver. If we're lucky enough to flip it right away, which he was. Top 3, he sees Deathrite Shaman, Delver, and land. So Shaman's not interaction right now. Elish Norn's in the graveyard. He knows Morawski's last card is Force of Will, so he could put Morawski on 1 draw, right? Plays Deathrite Shaman, says, please, don't get me.
Yeah, Deathrite Shaman seems totally reasonable to keep here.
Yeah. But it's a 1-turn window. Barton's going to go ahead and Wasteland away in Underground Sea. Plays Deathrite. Gonna say go. If Morawski can top deck reanimate, here we go. Did he get there? If not, he's losing it all. Because the Elish Norn's gonna be gone.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's not gonna play. Does not look like he had a reanimate spell. And now Barton's gonna get that Elish Norn out of here. Taps 2, delves 5. We're going to make a Gurmag Angler. It looks like he's going to deciding on what to pay for it. So Misty Rainforest will be sacrificed first.
Yeah, he'd like to double away these lands. The other stuff is more useful with his Deathrite Shaman.
And it will also be helpful if you know your final place for you to tell us when you get to the front of the hallway.
Leaves Ponder, a Pyroblast, and a Surgical Extraction in his yard. To cast Gurmag Angler, says go, has Tropical Island up. Going to take care of that Elesh Norn. Deathrite Shaman, will exile it. Barton back to 18. 3-turn clock here from Gurmag Angler and Deathrite Shaman. Perhaps even better, Young Pyromancer and Cabal Therapy strung together here. Angler swings for 5. No real need to start that chain going.
He still knows about Force of Will, so he can just aim the therapy and name that.
Sure, looks like he's going to go for Young Pyromancer this turn, leaving up the Tropical Island in case another creature finds its way into the graveyard. Morawski's going to draw. Could have picked up maybe Entomb, Exhume, Force, blue card. That doesn't even work though, because Deathrite Shaman's not a spell.
It kind of needs Show and Tell, Threaten Hand, Mana Source.
Okay, Show and Tell. Yeah, gonna crack a fetch land. He's got 3 more cards, so Show and Tell, monster. Then that Force of Will is still not castable, but whatever.
Yeah.
Could work.
It's got to be fetching here for a reason, right?
Does he have that?
Well, we'll find out.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
It'd be a nice hand.
There's no creatures in Nate's yard to reanimate, so that's probably... It's like... Let's see. Collective Brutality has been picked up from Jonathan.
Okay.
Force of Will, Brutality. There's one other card here. It's going to... It's Brutality and Thoughtseize. So he's going to double escalate Collective Brutality, draining for 2, killing Deathrite Shaman, and taking a card from Barton's hand. Doesn't really do much here, I guess. No, he's now 2 draw steps away, right?
Yeah, and Barton has assembled a 2-turn clock here.
Right.
I suppose he'll need to cast a spell, because he needs to get an elemental token, with Morawski gaining 2 life off of this.
Deathrite Shaman's going to make a mana by exiling a land from Jonathan's yard, and then it dies. Barton to 16, Morawski to 15. Cabal Therapy is taken with Brutality.
Second Gurmag Angler.
That should make a 2-turn clock.
That's a spell. It doesn't make an elemental, but it makes a 5/5.
Even better. And this is a 2-turn clock. With Morawski having no cards in hand, I don't think there's a way for him to put the combo together on 1 draw step.
Yeah, there's nothing he could do here. There's no Toxic Deluge in his 75 either, so there's nothing like Barton could cast Gurmag Angler and then get blown out by that.
And it's going to be second Gurmag Angler from Barton. Exiles away just about everything, leaves Therapy. So this is just about going to do it. Grixis Delver takes both Cyber games, and it is Nate Barton headed to the finals. With Grixis Delver, he defeats Reanimator